Sorry to say, darling, but I ain't Rex. The name is Gus. Okay, today let's take a quick look at the Medicom MAFEX Star Wars Disney Plus live-action Ahsoka Tano. I wasn't gonna do it. I mean, I was on the... I looked at the promo pictures when it first came out and I thought, well, I'm pretty happy with the Hasbro one. Do I really need the MAFEX one? And then, like I've said time and again, as the release date crept up, I thought... I better do it. The MAFEX Mando figures have always done me right. In fact, those are my favorite Mandalorian figures of Din Djarin. They fit right in with my SH Figuarts and my Hasbro Star Wars Black series. MAFEX can be a little unpredictable when it comes to scale. Remember the Suicide Squad figures? They were much bigger. And then, was it Batman that run a little smaller? Mando runs right in that sweet spot. But then some of the Force Awakens stuff, or the sequel stuff, ran larger. So, that's where I'm at. We'll see what happens. Looking at the package, it's what we expect with MAFEX. It's kind of plain. It's almost dollar store feeling. Got the window showing the figure inside. Have a nice promo picture. Star Wars Ahsoka MAFEX Medicom toy. On the side, let's just change up the background because, you know, the rest of the package is white. Why not make this side black? On the back, more pretty promotional pictures, all the accessories. Down here's some legalese. On the other side, back to logo, name, picture. On the top, same thing, just different order. On bottom, more legalese, warning, choking hazard, do not put your toys in your mouth. Some phone numbers, some holograms, more warnings. Anyway, let's see what's going on here. Ooh, look at this. And I'm gonna jump right to it. It is the exact same height as the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Ahsoka. I mean, we're gonna go over this again, but feet level, yeah, see, shoulders may be slightly lower, but the top of the head is just about even, which is fantastic because I can take this, put this on my main display shelf, which is what I'm gonna do. I've already made that decision without even hardly messing with it because putting these two side by side, this is the far superior figure in most aspects. Look at the sculpted detail to the clothes. That underlying texture, that crisscross pattern, that's not present on the Black Series figure. It's got a texture, it looks very cloth-like, but not like we see on the MAFEX. The shin guards and the foot guards, they have that metal look to them, that bluish tint, and then it goes to the silver, and it's got some slashes on it, some dings, some dents. The Hasbro one's just kind of plastic-like. It's there. It's damn accurate for how fast they got this figure out after Ahsoka appeared in The Mandalorian. That's the good thing about Medicom waiting several years after a character appears before they make the figure. They can go all out and make it as accurate as they possibly can. Look at the painted buckles. Same goes for the forearm guards. You have that bluish tint, the silver, those little buttons or dots or whatever those are painted the light blue. Again, Hasbro has most of that sculpted detail, but the colors don't pop near as much, or don't exist at all. On the MAFEX, you have this ring for the front of the belt, the buckle. You have all these little painted silver dots, which is just a weakness of mine. They are slightly off here, and then on the round buckle, it seems like it's scuffed off. It's got the plastic color poking through. But that's also how they did it on the prototype, which means this was on purpose. So, I don't know. I may come in and hit that with a little bit of paint. She has her wallet chain hanging down back here with all the little silver hits again. The tie in the back being a softer material hanging down. Hasbro has a lot of that same detail. The rings, the hangies, the chains, the tie in the back. MAFEX just goes that extra mile, which it should. With the price difference here, have the crisscrosses above the gauntlets going up on the arm. I mean, look at the sculpted detail on these flaps hanging down on the side. The Hasbro does have some detail to it too, just not as crisp. And I'm not trying to dog on the Hasbro version, I swear, because when you get to the skin tone department, I feel like the Black Series does a better job at it. The MAFEX is a very bright orange, very consistent, looks like it's painted on, and I know it's a toy, and I know Rosario Dawson's skin is not actually orange, it's painted on, but you know what I mean. The Hasbro has a translucency to it. It looks like skin. It has a duller feel to it. It looks like what we see in the show. But then I like the MAFEX head tails. I can't remember what these are called. The whites, the blues. It's brighter, and it just looks nicer. And I haven't made a decision on the face details yet. It's very crisp and clean on the MAFEX, but then, again, the Black Series has a natural feel to it. This is probably going to be my shelf Ahsoka, but I am just saying that that there's gives and takes. Because I'll also say that I kind of prefer the Hasbro knee setup too. MAFEX does a double joint, and yes, it works to an extent. I mean, it doesn't give it any extra range because of the puffiness of the pants. And in neutral position, you get that action figure look. I am not complaining about that at all. I know I collect toys. I'm not trying to, these are works of art and it shouldn't be broken and all that. But look how Hasbro did their knees. It has this big flap coming down, and the big single hinge is behind that. So even when bent, it looks like pants hanging down, and it doesn't look too bad from the side either, while giving about the same range. So yeah, again, gives, takes, because what wins out here is the proportions, the extra paint details, the extra sculpt details. I didn't mean for that whole first section to become a comparison with the Hasbro version, but I can't help myself because this has been my only Ahsoka for a good long while now, and I don't want to retire it, but look at this. Going over articulation, there is a dumbbell joint at the top of the neck with a ball down at the bottom. As you can see, this is going to get in the way. This is going to get in the way. She can look okay, I was going to be generous, but she can't look up. There is a bit of down though. There is some flex to those front ones. A little bit of tilt. Looks to the side, to the side. Okay, having a little trouble with the shoulder because I went to raise it up and then move it around because of the dumbbell joint. And the cover for the socket to hide the shoulder joint slid off. And I can see that there is a slot right there, and there's a peg right in there that is supposed to hold this in place, but I can't seem to get it to go back in there. Yeah, that is not cool. Let's see if this one does it. I can go up to here, forward and back, and then drop down. That one rides along with it. Doesn't seem to be a problem there. This one, raise up, forward, back, right there. I knocked it out of position and then it wants to come down. And to get it back on there, I have to reenact that movement backwards. As long as I don't go this direction and up, that's when it pulls off right there. It seems to be staying in there now. Double elbow comes up to about right there. Swivel hinge swivel that rotates around and then hinges back and forth. And then because of the extra swivel, well, I popped it off the thing. There's that. You can change it to up and down, whichever direction you want to go. Dumbbell joint mid-torso. It seems the belt is a separate piece. And then these flaps hanging down, and then the flap in the front. So can crunch, arc back, tilt, tilt. Ball coming out to the hip, comes up to there. This material here is pretty soft, doesn't get in the way, goes back, goes out. There's a bit of rotation on that ball joint, but there's also a swivel at the thigh below that. Double knee, very tight. And again, it comes up a little past 90, but I do love how MAFEX makes it, okay, you can see the seams. I was about to say seamless, it's not seamless, but it doesn't break. That knee piece is really big and goes up into the upper and lower legs. Dumbbell, I think, at the ankle goes back, goes forward, tilts side to side. Then there's a toe joint that goes up to there. For accessories out of the package, she comes with 2 fists. Then she has several sets of alternate hands, and I love these sprue pieces they've been adding for a couple of years now. That keeps the peg holes in the hands the exact size you need to fit on the pegs in the arms. I love it. But there's these 2 lightsaber grip hands. And again, like I showed a minute ago, that just comes off the peg and then that just slides right on. There's 2 splayed out hands. 2 hands with 2 fingers out that are actually grip hands for the lightsabers. You can see that they're the shape of her hilts. There's 2 relaxed hands and there's 2 even more relaxed hands. Then of course she comes with her 2 lightsabers with the curved hilts. It's silver. It has some sculpted detail to them, some gold up there at the emitter. The blades are white translucent cylinders that come up to points at the end. Those are kind of neat because I'm used to the Black Series ones just coming up to a rounded tip. These are a little longer, and that's the same for the shorter blade too. This is the MAFEX. Very tight grip in the hand, but I'm okay with that because they won't be falling out on the shelf or in the display. Instead of doing removable blades, there's just an extra set of hilts without blades. I guess the flatness of the grip would have made it hard for a peg to go in there. Then there's another set of hilts with these pegs on them, and it took me a minute to realize that these hooks that's hanging down below her belt are actually removable. And that may be another thing that I don't like about this figure because I figured that out by moving her around and it popped that little hook out. Now, you can see the size of that. That carpet monster is just waiting for this thing to fall off. The lightsabers have some grip to them, so you can push that in. And I like how it hangs. It's got a curve to it, so it comes down over her hip. But you do have to watch out for this other flap to push the peg out, because getting those hooks back in, not having a lot to grip onto, you're kind of fighting it, and you're pushing, and it won't go in, and you realize, oh, I'm pushing against this, so I have to shift this over and put that in there. So it's okay. It definitely looks good, but it's one of those things that I can't help but think Medicom overthinks it. It's over-engineered just a bit. We already looked at the neutral face. One of the things that sets this even further apart from the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series is the alternate head with the angry fighting face. Or maybe not angry, maybe determined. How about that? The other thing I was shooting for here is the soft goods poncho. Hasbro did offer one of these in a 3-pack, if you can call it a 3-pack. So I've been poncho-less. And that's one of the things that put me over the edge. Look at that, it's got Velcro. When was the last time I saw Velcro? It's probably been more recent than I'm thinking. I've just forgotten. There is a wire all the way here, back up and around the other side. Yes, in the middle there, and then around the front of the hood. So here's how I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna latch this together and then thread the neck through the hole. Push that back and down because you gotta have space for that. Bring that down, bring that down and around. That's gotta stay down there. Work this over to here. Oh, okay. That is very nice. I love it when a hood can cover up the face, or at least sit like it's supposed to. I hate it when it does stuff like this and you can't get it down. The wires here are very strong and oh man, yeah. That's just messing with it for a minute or two, and that totally works for me. Ahsoka stands at about 5 13/16, which again is pretty much the same height as the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Ahsoka. Standing side by side, you can see the difference in proportions. The Hasbro head is slightly larger, which I feel is realistic. Again, there's something that skews into animated series about the MAFEX, but that may just be me. A lot of people are going to look at this and go, that's perfect. And I got nothing against that. I feel like the Hasbro version looks a little more like Dawson. But what that means is she'll scale fairly well with both the MAFEX Mando and the Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Mando. I forgot that the MAFEX was slightly taller than the newer Black Series Mando. But still, same general scale. Same thing goes for the Hasbro Ahsoka Series Sabine and Huyang, and the Black Series Morgan Elsbeth and Hera. I need to get some paint on that sword. So at the end of the day, I'm pretty dang happy I didn't pass on this Ahsoka. Sure, there's a couple of things that I would have done different that I wish was more like the Black Series. I know, calm down. But there's too many positives, there's too many upgrades to ignore. The superior sculpting, the extra paint hits, the fine details to just the overall action figure. I don't have the soft goods cloak that came in that Hasbro 3-pack, but I gotta think this is better than that. I mean, this thing goes hard. This thing goes the extra mile with the wire and the way it lays on the body, on the awkward type head even. Just overall, this is a happy purchase. Again, like always, there's import prices, there's retail prices for stuff you can buy on the pegs in the US, it's things you have to ship over, things you have to wait for. So yeah, there's many layers to picking and choosing between which Ahsoka you want on your shelf. And I've bought a couple of the Hasbro versions. Nothing wrong with this at all. But what it came down to was I wanted the cloak for an Ahsoka on my shelf. And up until this, my only options were to go third party, have someone make one, which would cost about $20, $25, $30 on a good day. Or get that Hasbro 3-pack for whatever price it's going for. Was it 50, 60, 70, somewhere in there. So by the time I bought that, and another Mando I didn't need, and another Grogu I didn't need, and the same figure for the third or fourth time, I figured, take that money, put it into here. Get some different lightsabers, a different look to Ahsoka, some different heads, the cloak. Again, happy purchase.